The last thing my supervisor said to me that night was this: "Step away from the scope, you're done." And I believed him, because at that exact moment, 284 people had come within 400 feet of dying, and every one of those lives was on me. What he didn't know, what I didn't know, was that one day half the radar screens in this country would go black at once, and the decision to keep 5,000 airplanes flying or bring them all down would come down to me. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. I came into this job with nothing. No money, no degree, no family name. My mother cleaned rooms at an airport hotel, and when she worked doubles, I'd sit on the curb and watch the landing lights come down the approach all night long. I applied to the FAA at 19, not because I was gifted, but because it was the only job in America that didn't ask me where I went to school. And I almost didn't make it out of the academy. Every scan, every simulation, I was half a step behind the airplane. The instructors stopped using my name and started calling me Echo because I repeated everything a beat too late. One night, I sat in a motel room with my withdrawal form in front of me, one signature from going home. Then a controller named Ray sat down next to me after hours and said, "Nobody's born with the picture in their head. Sit down. I'll stay until you see it." I didn't know it yet, but Ray was about to change my entire life. And a few years later, I'd be the reason his ended. I stayed. I passed. Barely. Then came the midnight shift. 14 months certified. Youngest guy on the crew. Alone on 400 miles of airspace. That's how they do it when the sky empties out. Ray was the controller in charge. He was the one who said I could handle it. He stepped away for 10 minutes. I put a Boeing out of Detroit into a descent. 40 seconds later, I cleared an Airbus, climbing out of Columbus straight through the same altitude, head on. 900 miles an hour of closure. I didn't catch it. I caught it when the two targets touched on my screen, and my brain went completely, perfectly silent. 11 seconds. Their collision systems did my job for me. One climbed, one dove, 0.6 of a mile apart. They pulled the tapes before sunrise. And they didn't just take my certification. They took Ray's. 29 years, a clean record, and he walked out with a cardboard box. He never worked a scope again. And that was on me. I could have blamed the staffing. I could have blamed the late handoff from the facility next door. Instead, I sat in front of the review board and said 4 words: "The mistake was mine." Silence. Then a federal investigator named Ellen Vance leaned forward and said something I have never forgotten. Anyone can be right. I need the ones who can be wrong out loud. They didn't fire me. They sent me back to the beginning. And I swore, standing in Ray's driveway with 30 years of his life in a box, that I would never again leave another controller alone in the dark. So I started over. The academy again at 27, in a room full of kids who had never lost anything. And when I passed, I didn't ask for the quiet facility. I asked for New York. 3 major airports stacked inside airspace the size of a county, where half of all controllers wash out. I busted my first check ride. They gave me one more. 6 years. 6-day weeks. I missed my daughter's first birthday talking 12 airplanes onto 3 parallel runways in a snowstorm. Every promotion came with a heavier weight, and I carried all of it. And then, 12 years after the night they told me I wasn't built for this, they gave me the whole thing. Chief Operating Officer. Every airplane over the United States. 45,000 flights a day. All of it mine. But the hardest decision of my life was still coming. It came at 3 a.m. A telecom failure took the radar feeds down across half the country in under 2 minutes. 5,000 aircraft in the air. My staff was split down the middle. One option: a national ground stop. Everything down at once, into airports that couldn't hold them, with fuel running out at the back of the line. The other: keep them flying the way we did before radar existed, and trust 3,000 controllers to hold the picture in their heads. Every person in that room turned and looked at me, and for 1 second, I was 26 again, watching two targets merge in the dark. You're done. But this time I knew what my people could carry, because I'd spent 12 years making sure none of them ever sat where I sat. I gave the order. Keep them flying. For 6 hours, I didn't breathe. Then it came back. Every airplane accounted for, not one loss of separation, all 5,000 of them. And the first call I made wasn't to the White House. It was to a man in Ohio with a scanner radio in his garage who once sat down next to a kid everybody had given up on and said, "I'll stay until you see it." Ray picked up on the first ring. I said, "We made it, Ray." He said, "Told you you'd see it." I came into this job with nothing. They told me I wasn't built for it. I ended up running the airspace over every person in America. And the only thing that ever separated Echo from the man in that office was the day I decided to own the worst thing I ever did and never quit. If this story hit you the way it hit me, do me one favor. Tap that subscribe button and go watch the next video right now, because your climb to the top starts the moment this one ends.